Alright guys, so welcome to another HowToSaab video. Today we are here with my wonderful 2.3 turbo Vector 9.5. This one with a B235 engine swap. But the procedure is the same for pretty much all Saabs with all B204, 234 or 205, 235 engines. They're pretty much the same thing. Today we are going to refill or change the engine oil because this is the first oil change on this car since the engine was swapped. So here it is. This is the 5W40 oil. It's the same. You can use 5W30 and 5W40, or you can use 0W30 in the Saab. But this engine, well, this car is a bit older, so it's recommended to not use too thin oil because leaks will start appearing, and you know, Saabs, they are notorious for leaking oil when the time has come. Also, what you're gonna need is a oil filter. So what I went to the dealer and got myself a original oil filter. This is a GM oil filter. Ugh. Don't really like GM because they destroyed Saab, and they also included a copper washer for the drain nuts on the bottom of the sump. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go under the car, and the cameraman is probably gonna hold the camera by hand and show me, or show you guys, how to drain your engine oil. First of all, you need, of course, a bucket. Alright guys, so we're under the car here. This is a very terrifying situation, having a 1.6 ton car above your head. But we are going to, well, release this sump bolt right here. This is the one with the copper washer. So what you need is a 13mm. You probably need a longer bar than this, or longer well, tool, because you might need some leverage on this bolt here. But I'm going to try without. So, oh man, that cat is very, very warm. There we go. It is loose. So now it's going to probably start dripping soon. So what you do is you put your bucket under here. This is very difficult to show you because I'm using my phone as a light here, and what the trick is, you have to loosen this bolt, and you can feel that starts loosening. Wait a second. And when you feel that on your last threads, just remove the whole bolt without spilling too much. There we go. So there is that goddamn sump bolt. I don't know if you can see that, cameraman.
I can see it.
Yeah. You can see there's a copper washer on there as well. I'm gonna get it out of under the car while this drains, and we'll show you what you're going to do next. Alright guys, so we'll actually almost drain out of oil here. It's just dripping at the moment. So what you can do now is actually, when it's dripping, you're never gonna get everything out. So what you do, if you have to do an engine flush, is you put in more oil, you run the engine for a half an hour, and then drain out that oil again. But oil for Saabs are not very cheap compared to what I had to live with earlier with my Toyota, which was like every can of these was at half the price of the a complete oil change on this. So actually the complete oil change on a Toyota was actually less expensive than just the oil can. So that's how you're going to get that. So what you're going to do now is get your drain bolt and well, wipe it off as much as you can. This one is in pretty good shape still, so you can still use this, but you cannot use, or you should not use, the old copper washer. So what I got here is a new copper washer, and this, well, just slips over here, so there's no orientation or anything like that. So this just slips over, and you can put in this and like tighten it up as far as you go. With this, you can tighten it up as hard as you can with this, because usually this is as much leverage you actually need on a brand new copper washer. If you're reusing your old washer, you probably need a bigger tool than this to actually tighten it up, because they have to do more torque on that bolt. So I'm going to install that. I'm not going to film that because that's pretty much a straightforward operation. But next we're going to do oil filter after that. Alright guys, so my assistant is going to actually do a oil filter change. So that's going to drain a lot of oil, so just watch your hands.
Okay. I'm scared. Oh my God.
Just wait now, just let it soak for. Yeah, you can just keep loosening it slowly like that, and when it feels like it's coming off, let's just like drain everything else into the bucket, but don't put the filter in the bucket as well. So maybe there you go, and then we can dry There you go. Yeah, that's much more magic than that. So now I can just actually
flip it over.
Yeah, flip it over so it don't drains out anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a lot of oil on it. This is a man's job. So that's your old filter. Just put it on the ground somewhere. There you go. Make sure you don't spill that all over the place. So now you can see it's draining out. Well, yeah, you can see it's draining out a lot more oil. So now it's just to wait, and when that's done, we're going to put in a new filter. Turbo. Alright, so I'm gonna put back in the old filter, not put in the old filter, but I'm gonna put in a new filter here. And people say that you should lube up the old ring here before you put it on, but seriously, when there's that much oil residue on that, well, there's so much oil residue there, I'm not gonna do that. But one thing you have to make sure is do not leave the oiled gasket from the old oil filter on there, because that will keep paying, well, that will start leaking a lot. So I'm just gonna take this. It's still dripping a bit, but you know what can you do about that. So there we go. Make sure you don't cross thread those threads, and there we go. And there we go. You can feel, there you go, starts tightening up there. And now I'm gonna keep turning that until it's mostly hand tight. There we go. Not much more than that to be done. And actually, for the next mechanic looking over this car, you can also puke when he sees the GM logo there. So now it's pokes down. So that's actually on there. Not much more than that to be happening. So what you're going to do now is we're going to refill the engine with the proper, the correct amount of oil that this engine should have with it. Usually 4.3 liters, but there is always some oil residue left in the engine, so probably not mean much more than 4 liters, probably. But we're gonna check that when you start filling up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start. We're gonna fill it up to 4 liters. Start the engine, let it run. Stop the engine, let it sit for a while, for about 2-3 minutes. And then we're gonna check again how the oil level looks, because then you actually see when everything is mixed. So then you can after fill the rest. So there is that new piece of shit on. That's not piece of shit actually. But the filters included from Saabs are actually better than most other filters, because these engines are notorious. Man, my English today. Well, these engines. And oil sludge and stuff, man, that's crap. And while we're at it, here we're going to do sometime in the future, do an engine mount, because this thing here, it's well, look at the playroom. You can stick your finger through here. This should normally do not be able. So you have this much playroom in the engine mount there. So that should not be like that. But you know, can't get everything you want in the world, so. That's it. There's a bit of oil residue all over the engine here, but yeah, so it's a Saab. What can you do about that? So the new filter is on, the drain plug is on with the new copper washers. Now it's time to fill the engine with oil. Yes. Yeah. So we are back here at the engine bay, and we are going to fill it up with oil. We actually had a amount that came out of the engine, which was 3.6 liters of oil. It's actually it's like a bit too little, but the engine wasn't completely warmed up at this point either. So usually you want to warm up the engine to operating temperature and then drain it, because the oil drains a lot faster and a lot more easier when it's hot, because it's a lot lighter flowing. But not to worry too much about that. They're going to do another oil change in another 6 months, so that's not an issue. Well, this car is going to be sold, but I'm going to do oil change right before the engine or the car gets sold. So we're going to remove the dipstick and oil cap here. Just removes like that. Actually, if you want to be more specific, it's actually just spring loaded, so it's like that. And the only thing, you push it a bit down, twist it, and pops off. And there you go. So that's your dipstick as well. So if you haven't wiped this off yet, do that now. Or if not, you're gonna get a mess. So I'm gonna leave that right there. We are gonna get the 5W40 oil here. This is a synthetic oil. Saabs wants a synthetic oil due to their turbo engines. So this is a trick. It takes a while to master, but I'm going to pop off this engine cover because plastic is a bit hard to wash, and plastic gets brittle when it gets oil on it. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to find somehow to, well, get in this new oil without making it too much of a mess. Oh man, this color of oil, beautiful. Alright, so when you have filled some oil, you can actually just feel how much the can weighs. And when you start feeling it getting somewhat empty, you can use the, well, look, you can use this here. I can see it's 2 liters left in this can, which means, well, it's filled 3 liters in the engine now. So we're gonna keep filling until we have 1 liter left in this can, because, you know, Saabs, they use some oil. We are at 1 liter, and what we're gonna do now is gonna put the cap back on the oil can, so we don't get any insects or whatever inside there. We're gonna put this back in here, and before you start the engine, of course, make sure to remove any expensive accessories. And now we're gonna actually just gonna, what you can do now, since we'll fill the engine, we can take this dipstick, pick it up, and there is a secret. It's oil dripping from it, but yeah, it's actually, whoa. So we're gonna wipe this shaft off here. You know, it gets a little dirty after a while. Not really a fan of Saab's dipsticks. It's halfway on this. Oh, it's approximately halfway up. But what we're gonna do now is we're gonna start the engine, let it warm up, and well, we're gonna start the engine, let it warm up, and see how the oil levels look. Of course, when you start the engine, make sure you don't get any oil warning lights while you start up. And also one other thing, you can check for leaks underneath while it's running. So there are no check engine, or there is a check engine light, but that was something else. There is no oil light here, which means the oil level is probably at the correct level, but that will start flashing or lit up if there is something wrong with oil pressure. Just bear that in mind. So after running the engine for a little while, you can actually check the dipstick and check how the color of the oil is. If that has changed to more of a black color, you probably want to flush the engine if you want to do it properly. But you know, can't do everything perfect. So this car has done 210,000 kilometers, but the engine itself has done 125,000 kilometers. So now I can hear the engine start to idle. I got a bad serpentine belt, so that's why it squeaks a bit. So now the engine has got some temperature to it, so so we're gonna get that dipstick out of there. There you go. Pop of this. Yeah. Rip. So these dipsticks right here, really don't like them. So now, since the oil has also got into the oil filter and stuff, so and turbo and stuff is filled up, that's when you know you can check the oil levels, because your filter will have some oil in it. Alright, so we go. It's properly on there. And I'm gonna put it up for that. I can actually fill up a bit more. You never want to fill up a engine to over the full mark, but you don't want to fill it to under the full mark either. So you want it as close as possible. Actually, on this dipstick right here, you want it so it's above here, but not above here. So it's in this area right here. So this from here to here could actually just result in actually almost half a liter of engine oil. So that's interesting because the sump is pretty big. So and now the oil is actually exactly where I want it. So it's a bit hard with these dipsticks, but you know, when you learn how these dipsticks work, you know you're done it right. So this engine now has the appropriate amount of oil in it. It sounds good. Apart from the serpentine belt, that sounds like crap, but you know, not much you can do about that. I'm gonna reroute this tube here because this, man. These are breather tubes to the PVC system. So I'm gonna do that like that. Put that right back on there. Let's shove this one back on there. And that's more like it because now it supports this tube here so it doesn't bend. This system right here is probably one of the most important bits of a Saab engine. If you do not upgrade this from the stock system, you're gonna have a lot of trouble with the engine oil sludging up inside the engine and blocking off everything and just destroying the engine over time. That's not fun at all. So that's probably what happened to this engine, which was in here before this one. So there we go. There we go. Engine cover is back on.
Nice.
And that's pretty much it of the oil change of a Saab 995 Vector 2003. This model. You can see the facelift, and you can check under the car. Do you see any oil leaks? And yes, I do actually. So here I have to actually go in with a bigger trigger bar and actually retighten that nut there, as you can see here. So it's dripping a tiny bit, but not much. So what I can do is I gotta roll under here and just check where it leaks, but I'm not gonna film that because that's something you can do by yourself as well. So I'm gonna tighten that a bit more, and I will say we're done here. That could also be from the oil draining down from the filler port. So what you can do, you can get the car down from the jack stand and roll a bit backwards, and let it sit for while the engine is running, and well, try moving it and see if it still drips. If it still drips, retighten that nut. If it stops dripping, it's just from the residue that I overspilled on the fuel port. So we are now gonna get this car off the jack stand, or well, one of the jack stand, because I'm gonna continue to do some work on this car. And that is figuring out why these headlights won't adjust themselves. So thanks for watching, guys, and see you guys in the next HowToSaab video.